Okay, looks like we are live. Uh, Not sure there's anyone here just yet, but hello if you are here. Um, and welcome to this somewhat impromptu Pigment 6 stream. I did not actually know Pigment 6 was coming out today. I'm not one of the cool kids that gets the early updates or anything like that. I just happened to see it on the internet that it was out, and I downloaded the update. And I have done exactly nothing so far except poke at a couple of the new presets, which I guess I can continue doing for a few minutes here, um, until a person or two shows up. Sorry, I had to adjust my headphone volume there. It's a little hot. So, if you haven't heard, the big addition to this is a new modal engine, and curiously enough, this one actually uses that modal engine. This uses modal engine passing into a comb filter, it says. Probably the other big addition is vocoder, which I know some people just love vocoders. I'm a little lukewarm on them, honestly. So I don't hate them or anything, but I just rarely find them worth the hassle. I don't know. Bongo box. So this one probably uses the modal engine. It says it's modeled. Probably worth noting that the update comes with 100 new presets. So if you are a preset person, even if you don't care about the it's probably worth upgrading just for the 100 new presets, I guess is what I was going to say. Hey, how's it going, Rodvik? Good. Well, I'm glad this will, happy that this can keep you company while you do that. Looks like we got at least one other person in here. I'll just poke around with these presets for a couple more minutes and then we'll go in and start looking at features. By the way, I have adjusted my voice a little bit, so if it seems too loud or too quiet, a little bit since the last time I did this anyway. If it seems too loud or too quiet, please let me know and I can make another adjustment. I think that's another one of the modal engine. Okay. Sure. So I think that one uses that modal engine. So modal engine is if you're not familiar with that terminology, it's a physical modeling style engine. Uses exciters and resonators in various configurations to recreate in a somewhat realistic way struck, plucked, and scraped um, sounds, surfaces. That's a nice pad. This sounds like the pads that I've been making lately. Yeah, fun little bass. Okay, that's probably enough presets. Presets are only so interesting. Although, that said, if someone wanted me to do an all presets stream, I could probably be convinced to do that, but I'd have to have at least a couple people who are regular visitors say that that would be something that they would like to see. Okay, let's close this. We got a default preset here. If you have seen this program before, you can already probably see a few minor differences. They upgraded the UX a little bit, changed some of the typefaces to make them, I don't know, like pop a little more maybe. Then again here, they, for example, I want to say these used to be all caps, or maybe it was like just a regular capitalized case, like capital P O L Y, capital B. I don't remember for sure, but now they're lowercase. Of course, I updated this, so I don't have them side by side to compare. It doesn't really matter. It's just little things. I understand there's a light mode, although I don't like light mode, and B, I've not figured out how to switch into it, but we can probably figured that out. I bet it's here under settings, maybe. No, these all seem to be like MIDI settings and whatnot. Here's where you can do master tuning, turn on multi-core and whatnot. MIDI accessibility, other sequencer. No, doesn't even mention it in here. But anyway, it has light mode if that's important to you. If you don't like looking at dark UI, UX, you can look at a dark one or a light one with the light mode. I'm sure it's easy as heck to turn on. I just don't know where it is off the top of my head here. So As usual, it still has a very good tooltip section. So if you just kind of hover over anything, in the bottom left-hand corner here, you'll see a tooltip pop up. It'll tell you what you're looking at and whatnot. Here, let's look at this modal engine. This is the new engine. It's got string and beam models. And some selection here. So for this string model, you have these 6 different kinds of strings. And for the beam, you have, the same 6 times. Fair enough. Bass, interesting. Okay. Really no idea what any of this stuff. This is all new to me. Collision sets the mode of the collision exciter. Beam, type of resonator model. Friction sets the mode of the friction exciter. Number of partials, output volume, volume of the resonator, and where it goes, it's the filters. Filters have been upgraded as well. We'll get into that in just a second here. Oh, that's pretty. So I guess it starts off with a bell sound. Oh. Sure enough. And here it takes all the bass out. Now it's extra bassy. Also, I don't know if you noticed what I did there. I just double clicked on that to get it back to the default. So you can go up to 200 and then, let's go back to the default. Just double click. There you go, back to the default. And there's a shaper down here with some different. So this looks pretty deep. Interesting. So clearly this is going to take some exploration to understand exactly what's going on with it. But it's pretty powerful, obviously. Let's look at a couple of the other new features first, and then we'll come back and spend some time with this because it's arguably the big draw. The second biggest draw is in the FX section. They have now added a vocoder. So modulator, FXN, okay, yeah, and then I guess it's set the carrier, yeah, okay, flattens, oh I see, enhances or flattens, okay, interesting. So the carrier, I guess, is the signal, the sense signal itself, or that's the modulator. I don't know. Have to dig around with this. Like I said, I'm not a big vocoder guy, but if you are a vocoder person, cool. There's a vocoder for you now here too. And I think did we get some new effects too? Don't know if we got any new effects, but nope, doesn't look like it. Got no new effects, but the distortion I heard was got tweaked a little bit, and also the multi-filter got tweaked a little bit. It's now got settings for, you can have the frequency response be, I'm sorry, not frequency response, the emphasis, the cue, the resonance response to be analog or digital style. And I heard it also has, and you can change the slope, and yeah, change low pass, high pass, band pass, all pass, notch, comb, and two different comb filters, a feed forward and a feedback. All pass filters are useful. They shift the phase of things, and that's you can get phaser style effects. And if you move the I guess here it's this. Yeah. You can get some interesting effects with them. Anyway, they're just kind of a neat thing to have. And then the what they used to call the multi-mode filter has gotten an overhaul, and it's used to have. So what it added was these three all-pass modes: all-pass 12, 24, 36. That's the steepness of the curve, and it also added this analog or digital resonance control. So this determines how if the resonance acts as if it were analog or if it were digital. I don't really understand the difference. We'll figure that out by playing around with it. And it also got a drive, which is this right here, is fantastic. I love driving filters. It's nice to be able to add a bunch of harmonics right before it hits the filter, and they get all shaved off. And it can definitely affect the character and flavor of the filter. So that is a cool feature to add to the basic one. And then we also got some new filters. We got this cluster filter, which is like a multi-peak. You see this one is a high pass and a low pass glommed together, which I guess kind of makes it look like a notch filter, honestly. But you can change the spread. Interesting. Okay. And then there's like this one's a 3, 4, 5 peak bandpass filter. That's kind of fun. Spread out the peaks a little bit. Okay, good times. The phaser filter, formant, surgeon, lo-fi. Oh, this is the other new filter type is this lo-fi filter type. And this is gives you some. Well, there's a pre and post filter. Yeah, this is definitely. It's got a jitter setting. I don't know. But anyway, it's a lo-fi filter that is meant to. Oh, I see. Got to turn that on. Turn that on. Yeah, might have to actually read so the pre filter frequency shift sets a relative cutoff frequency of the pre-filter and post-filter. So it's a frequency shifter on there. Okay. But make it jittery. So this will be fun for sure. I like making trashy sounds. That's going to be your Huckleberry. I got a few new modulators. We got this voice modulator, which I don't actually understand. Number of voices. Randomize, reset, polarity. This is one I'll have to look into. So my understanding is it's each voice gets a different modulation. So as you can see, I hold different keys and they light up. So yeah, if you're doing like big chord stack voices. Yep, and you can reassign those, and it looks pretty deep. But basically each, and it's not going to anything right now. I'm just showing you how they light up as I hit the keys. So that's 1 key, that's 2 keys, 3 keys, 4 keys, 5 keys, 6, 7, and 8. Ta-da! So each of those has a different modulation, and then you would have to put each of these, I guess, or not each of these, but put that modulator to something. So that's random 3, right? Random 3, like what if we... So depending on which one in the sequence it is, first one is short, second one's a little longer. Short, long, pretty interesting, actually, modulator. That's actually pretty cool. I can definitely see how that would be useful. Probably not the kind of thing I would use all the time, but very nice to have that in your arsenal, if you will. And they also updated the random a little bit here. I think they essentially just tweaked it to make it possibly make a little more sense to people. Sample and hold still looks like it used to. So we got the random voice modulation. So the random was the edited one. So the sample and hold was the your old option for a random, and now you've got a random. And it's obviously just a little different flavors of random. It's good to have randomization, and various random values tend to be pretty handy sources of modulation, in my opinion here. So you've got in the combinate, now you've got an envelope follower as well. And yeah, you just have it, put it in front of whatever, and engine 1, engine 2, one of the 3 utility outputs, the filter output, or an audio input, and it will follow the envelope of that, and then you can use that as a modulator. And that's pretty handy. Envelope followers are pretty handy synth tools to have. Again, they're sort of one of the more marginal things. It makes sense that it would, it's the 6th update and it's getting it. It's, again, not the kind of thing that everyone needs or uses very often, but can definitely come in pretty handy. Now we've looked at all these before, and there's just a ton of noise selections in here. And look here, you can go through them all this way. I basically have updated the browser to make it a little easier to use. And here's your kind of regular classic noise, some atmospheric noise, just 1991. Okay, so I think that is the majority of the new features. Again, the whole interface has been tweaked. There's probably some other things. I want to say they added something to this. I think this rumble might be new. I'm not entirely sure about that. Yeah, so lots of new textures, lots of new samples for the sample engine. Oh, that's right. That's the other thing. They updated the sample/granular engine. You can now just have a few more options here, basically, and so a little more control over the granular engine. Round robin, yeah. Just a few more options to control the granular. Again, I don't have the old one to pull up next to it. I can go over them piece by piece, but more, better is what it's got. So there's a few additions to the granular engine. Yeah, but that's basically the new stuff, I guess. Let's try and make something. Alright, so you get a collision here. Slows down the attack. This lets you filter. Must be noise hitting that. This is also selectable. So we got collision, we have transient. So this uses a sample. You know what's nice is a lot of these controls are pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so that's the audio input. I don't have anything hooked up to that, but you can run your own audio through here and run it through the resonators, which is pretty cool. So back to collision. You know, less intense. It's kind of nice. Get a little stereo T-tune. So this warps the position of the harmonics. And so you have three controls: the range, which one sets the harmonic after which the warp starts affecting the sound to preserve the bass pitch. So one must be starts at the second harmonic, two starts at the third harmonic, three starts at the fourth harmonic, etc., etc. Yeah. And this is pretty cool. This engine is pretty cool for sure. Admittedly, these sounds so far aren't as weird as I generally like my sounds to be. But once we get all these things moving, friction sets the mode of the friction exciter. What else do we have? Oh, so we also have auto input or noise. Or granular. Oh, that's fun. Once again, it's very pretty. It makes smoke for you to look at. Yeah, that would be pretty annoying if you have a busted encoder on your main one of your main synths. I can understand. Let me, with the caveat that I am in no way affiliated with Arturia whatsoever. I don't have an affiliate link for you. I do not get any kickbacks, etc., etc. So let me point all that out just because I'm about to point out that, hey, this is actually on sale right now for $99 US. And although I haven't checked because I already own it, so it's actually kind of difficult for me to check. I'd have to it's not worth even going into what I'd have to do. But I would not be surprised at all if it's actually even on sale cheaper than that if you already have some Arturia products registered, because they really like to keep you in their ecosystem, if you will. Like I think the idea is like, hey, if you like, you bought an Arturia drum brute and you thought that was cool as hell. Oh, maybe you should check out Pigments. Oh, you like that? Okay, well now maybe you should check out Analog Lab. Oh, you like that? Okay, maybe you should go for the whole V collection, etc., etc. And it's a way for them to get more money out of you, yes, but it's also a way for you to get a better deal on the synthesizers that you're buying. Um, hey, Swarm, how's it going? So yeah, if you are eyeing this up, they usually run the sales for a couple weeks after they do an update like this, so you have a couple weeks to think about it. But if you have an Arturia product that is not registered, even if it's one you bought used, that's definitely worth emphasizing because um, most of the hardware I've bought used. Actually, I think all the Arturia hardware I bought used. I try and buy used gear as much as possible, so it's not that surprising. Um, but yeah, when I registered all my used gear with them, they gave me the discounts for this and for some of the other stuff that I bought from them. So if you have a piece of Arturia gear that you've not registered, register it. If you already have a piece of Arturia registered gear, log into your account and just see what it costs. Might be 69, might be 79. I paid $69 for this around Christmas 2019, I want to say. Um, and it has been by far the best $70 I've ever spent on any music gear of any kind. So, um, in terms of the bargain I got out of it, so you can take that as you will, but just putting it out there. Oh, okay, sure. And see how that drive affects that. That's the only setting change there. Definitely adds a little more character to this filter. I don't know, that seems pretty subtle difference, but maybe it's emphasized more higher. I think the analog's a little sharper. It seems like it's a little more noticeable on these high notes. That's way too much resonance anyway. Okay, well, there's another new little change I just picked up on. This used to say envelope VCA, which I think might be confusing to some people who do not come from. Um, Modal is the new engine, correct. Uh, you say envelope VCA, which if you don't come from particularly like a modular world, that might not even be make any sense to you. Okay, interesting. My camera light is not showing. I assume this is, yeah, it looks like it's working fine. Um, my camera light is not showing green, so I was afraid that maybe it had died, but it seems like it's working fine. Streams. Yeah. It's a nice marimba sound. Marimba kind style sound. It's maybe not very accurate marimba. So I'm adding envelope modulation. I added envelope modulation to the filter. I'm adding the same envelope to this. Guess we're making a bass sound here, which is not surprising. That's usually what I do with something new. Thank you, Swarm, for the confirming that you can see me just fine. Hopefully I look as pretty as usual. It's definitely something I worry about a lot, is if I'm pretty enough. That's interesting. So partials in this sense. At some point I will read the manual and maybe come back with a little more knowledge, but I'm curious. Oops. Oops. Yeah, you can't go wrong with lately bass. I think I probably have 50 different variations on it, but hey, why not have one more, right? I am a old school house music aficionado. Old school just because I have been a house music aficionado for, at this point, something like half of my life, and I'm kind of old, so that takes us back into the 90s is when I got into house music, and I have loved it ever since. So lately bass is, and I actually, the second synthesizer I ever owned was a Yamaha TX-A1Z, and of course the lately bass is one of its presets, famously. And yeah, I remember when I got it, actually, before it was definitely used a bunch of the time, but I was not familiar with it. I had just barely dipped my toe into house music at the time, and it had been used at the time, but not nearly as much as it has today. And I don't know that I had ever heard it, but I immediately identified it as, hey, that's a good. Um, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. More partials would mean more harmonics. And it is one of my favorite tricks to do is, I guess, yeah, right, we could just open the filter all the way up and play with the harmonics there. They're a little more obvious. Yeah. Yes, good call. Good call. The filter is eating some of those harmonics. Yeah, it almost sounds a little like a real bass, which I guess is not that surprising because, um, you know, it's physical modeling. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, the lately bass I identified right away as like, hey, that's a pretty cool sound. And then, later come to find out that, like, oh yeah, super famous house bass. And then, in all the years I spent raving from 97 through till I got too old to do it, raving and clubbing, because raving kind of died off where I was at it, right around 2000. The cops cracked down on the rave scene, started busting all the parties, and so it became a club scene. So yeah, raving and clubbing up through the early to mid aughts. I did it professionally for a couple of years too, which is to say I was covering things for a newspaper magazine that I worked for at the time. Um, Not that I was going to raves. I wasn't selling drugs at raves or something or promoting them. Not professional in that sense. Professionally in the sense that my work used to pay me to go and write about the DJs that were playing. Some really interesting, like, subtle variations going on here. And maybe use a little LFO on the filter resonance. Make it free running so it's always a little different. Free running. Okay, what can we do to make this slightly more interesting? Turn the stereo off. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Partials of the harmonic series to improve the pitch action. Neat. Range. Oh, right, that's right. So this. So what if we have the envelope? Oh, that's wild. That's not quite right, though. Yeah, properly named, right? That is definitely warping the heck out of the sound. Maybe we can try it on. Wonder if we can get something interesting. No, maybe something more like this. Nope. Maybe if we make it really slow. Probably not for a bass. Well, I guess we could do this. Get a sample and hold. Sample and hold. Yep, and we'll just apply that. Sample and hold 1, 2, this warp. That's a bit much. Get it to just. No, I don't think so. That is not the right setting for that. Maybe we could put some of that on the drive. Maybe it's okay. It's pretty subtle. What else can we do? We could add another engine. It's kind of cool to just do something with this engine. A second. could also add a little velocity to the filter, just some kind of basic on the right is a collect sound up high, but it's definitely more interesting lower as a bass. Good. I got this. Just trying to think of other things to do to kind of tweak this before it's done. All right, maybe add some aftertouch. Use that to open the filter a little bit more. That's maybe a little much. Maybe we should use it to close the filter down. But also open the resonance up. Turn it up just a little bit. Make it mono if we're going to make it a bass. Should we also give it a little glide time? Seems all right. Mono, yep, that seems good. We could tweak some macros, but I don't know really where I'd put them at this point, so I think we'll just save this one, call it Modal Bass. Bass, I think that counts as a plucked bass. First modal engine patch. Just as a reminder for later, be like, oh right, this is the one we did first. Oh, how nice. That would make a decent techno or house bass. As we said, it sounds pretty lately-ish. It's not quite lately, but it's got a. It's in that neighborhood. It's in that neighborhood. Did they put a modal thing on here? They did not. It seems silly, but here we. That's how we are. Cool. Try that modal engine again. Let's go for something weird this time. Okay. Already getting a little inspired here. Let me get my. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Get my. Get my pads up to use the second envelope on here to open this up into that wider range. And I think I might also use Aftertouch, same purpose. You can hear that as I add Aftertouch, kind of does more of the especially before it starts to decay away. A brass sound. So put it on 1 so it warps everything above the fundamental. That's kind of interesting. Sounds wildly out of tune. I think that is not quite the right modulation, but there's definitely something interesting there. Oh, turn the ARP on. So I've adjusted envelope 3 to make it a nice slow attack. And that makes the brilliance die off. Almost sounds like a calliope or something. So this is a PWM style mod. Interesting, very glassy timbre. Just adjusting the filter a little bit here. adjusting the envelope on the filter envelope, on the filter. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting high frequency harmonics there coming. It does sound a bit like some kind of aliasing noise or bit crushing noise, which I'm a fan of. Just kind of concentrate. Yeah, I definitely like that shaping. Maybe we can do something with the function generator here. We should also put this LFO on there. Okay, so function 1 is going to model 1 shape. Right? Okay, so also put the LFO on there. This free running. Kind of interesting. Getting there, getting there. Keep adding more weird. So my thought process here is we had a lot of different modulators that are all kind of doing their own thing. To get something kind of organic, so it's always a little different. It doesn't sound like it's just some kind of repeating thing. There, I think we have finally achieved it. 3 modulators it took. LFO1, function 1, and random 2. So it sounds like a weird, kind of like a weird digital organ. And we could always turn on the utility engine, put a sine wave on the fundamental, give it a little more body. Maybe this actually is a good time to try this lo-fi filter out. So it's the frequency of this filter sample rate. Oh, okay. I don't know that I 100% understand what's going on with this, but it's weird, and I like weird, so... So we've basically created an incredibly trashy organ sound here. Yeah, it is a downsampling / bit crushing filter, correct. I've not figured out exactly how the controls on it work yet, but I'm sure we will. Jesus. I think I might turn both of those on. We can get just a little bit of envelope on this one. Kind of fits with our trash organ aesthetic. Okay, so maybe I resist adding any amp mod to that, but we'll put this on there and sidechain it to the mod wheel 100%. Let's put vibrato on the mod wheel. Do the same thing on here. Mod wheel 100%. So it's a mod wheel vibrato. You know, I have a feeling maybe not white noise, maybe. Oh, that seems perfect. And just a little bit of less of that. Definitely some interesting stuff going on with it's not a very interesting sound, I guess, in a lot of ways, but you know, sometimes you just need an organ sound, and that's I gotta say it's a pretty decent one, so I think I'm gonna let it be. Get the dry light out. And a little less than that. This time, eighth note dotted. Okay, and might as well put. No. What is going on with this aux? Okay, perfect. And actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put macro 1 to the send knob. Or you can actually put it a little higher than that. Let you really go reverb crazy, if that's what you want to do. And we will rename that reverb. And put it up there. Okay. Save this preset as trash organ. It's an organ. It's a synth organ. You could probably use that in house music or modern or pop music. I don't know, lo-fi. You could definitely use it in lo-fi. It's pretty simple. It's kind of dirty. It's got some reverb on it. I don't know. It's an organ. What do you want? There we go. New preset. Yeah, the manual, by the way, is out for this. So if any questions you have that I'm not able to answer, you can look them up in the manual, or I can look them up for you, and maybe next time we do this, I will have an answer for them. Like you were asking if that knob does indeed reduce the sample rate in the filter, and I think it does. I think that's what it's doing in that one, but I could be wrong. Guess we could keep messing with the modal. There's certainly plenty. Let's try the beam. I think the first two we did were both string. Or were they? Hold on a second. Let's look. We want the user bank. Clear all. Trash organ. Use a string, and the first one we did was modal bass, right? I'm 99% sure that also used the string. Yep, it did. Okay, so let's try this beam. Get some bells and stuff out of this one. Percussion and stuff too. Back into organ sounds already. Not quite an organ, but still. Yeah. You mean like the visual of them is mesmerizing? Yeah. Let's see if we can use envelope 2. Weird. This is a weird engine. It does weird things. I like it. Guess we can also let's see, envelope 3, make a real sharp pluck, and use that to go on here, give it a little transient attack. I assume this will work on this. Let's find out. Getting into some interesting percussion stuff. Envelope 2 is on the filter. We're gonna sidechain that to velocity a little bit, and we're gonna do sidechain the drive a lot bit to velocity, like a little more decay. Oh, here's what we need to do is go to velocity and let it add to the decay just a little bit. A little bit more. So at high velocity, get a longer decay. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, I think anyone watching this should probably already realize this without me saying it, but this thing's deep. There's a lot going on here. Like, it's I am not. I'll be honest with you. I spent less than 10 minutes playing with this before I fired up this stream. I downloaded it this morning, made sure that everything was, that it came up. I decided to do the stream, and maybe 10 or 15 minutes before I started, I fired it up and I basically just started playing with the presets. I haven't done anything else. But yeah, it seems like there's really a lot going on here. I wasn't even all that super duper interested in the Modal engine. I mean, new stuff is new stuff. That's cool. But I was probably most excited about being able to put drive on the multi-mode filter, which is the filter I use all the time. I think the only one that had a drive setting before that was the Moog one. Just hate to use the Moog filter just because I want to drive it. It's almost a passable kick drum. Decent kind of bongo-ish drum. Is that really what we want on here? What does bad sound like? Oh, better is what it sounds like. Is it even doing anything? I'm not sure it is. A little bit. I don't actually hear it doing anything, so maybe we have another setting turned down too low for it to matter. It's a decay or something. Here, let's turn the release up on this just a little bit. Okay, it doesn't matter how much we turn that up, because this decay is still maybe a little too low. I do love making weird percussion. Bad shaper. Yeah, I mean, who knows? They got some interesting names in here for sure. And again, like, not real clear what it's doing, but I think with some sounds it's definitely a little more. I mean, I know that that's probably not the most exciting sound for most folks, but I kind of like that. I think I'm gonna hold on to it for some, some unique percussion at some point. And drums, creative drums, modal percussion, tuned modal percussion. It's bonk, 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 bonk. Pretty clean. It's kind of hard. You could use this in literally anything that needs percussion. We'll just slap some things on there. Percussive is not one of the choices, strangely. But whatever, that's fine. We don't need to worry about that. I didn't put any effects on it, but just because nothing really spoke to me as being super duper necessary. I mean, it would probably sound pretty good with some distortion, right? Huh. That's an interesting distortion for sure. That one's pretty subtle. That one's not. Nor is that. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. It's an interesting, like, high frequency component. I guess I can turn this high pass on. I mean, that's what it's for. Post. No, I want a low pass filter actually. Okay, that seems good. That's does some pretty good percussion sounding stuff. I mean, again, I know that that's like not the craziest, most out there, wild percussion sound you've ever heard. It's kind of a bread and butter tune percussion sound. Again, that seems like something that's just begging to be enveloped. Let's see if this will work. Not fast enough. More sophisticated toms. Yeah, that's exactly what I had in mind. Something like toms, or like a conga style sound. So this is just the string resonator, but that sure sounds like brass to me. It's kind of interesting. Kind of bell-like now. Synth bell. Which is funny because this is like the modal thing, which is supposed to, although it's the string mode, I suspect the other one is the beam mode, is your actual bell one, the one that's meant, quote unquote, meant for bells. It's kind of interesting. It has a real sense of space to it. It's almost like it has a reverb, but as soon as I let off, there's no tail. Is that the density? I'll turn the volume of this down. Yeah, it's coming from this friction effect. That's really interesting. Well, that's way too detuned. Yeah, I think that is what it's supposed to be. Is like the friction is like a bowing effect or whatever. The collision is like hitting, and friction is more of a bowing, a style effect. So yeah, good intuition on that one. I think that is what you're hearing. It's really interesting how it adds that sense of space to it. Adds some realism. I hate to use that word, but especially because I tend to like weirder sounds that aren't terribly realistic. My sweater on here. I got it out to begin with when we first started, but it was a little too warm in here for a sweater. Now it's cooled off a few degrees. Sweater time. Kind of brassy in the upper registers there. Again, I cannot overestimate how much I love this drive feature. I'm so excited to be able to drive this basic filter. It adds so much character. let's do this. So we're going to use the mod wheel to open up but then we're also okay, so we'll take this shape here. Oops, that's not what we wanted to do. Boop, not that. Take LFO1, and we're going to use that on the shape. That's really a pretty interesting modulation effect there. Is not what I'm used to hearing. From modulating a wavetable or a filter or whatever. So that's kind of cool. I mean, yeah, ideally, the new features should allow you to do things that you weren't able to do before, right? I mean, that's kind of the point. Let's turn this filter down even more. Cooking it, clipping like crazy. Yeah. When I've got them on the mod wheel too, so I'm opening the mod wheel there, and it's what's setting them all off. But they definitely jitter a little when you hold them. Okay, so we gotta turn this down a little bit, I think, if we're gonna play chords with it. Put some amp mod on there. I could try one of these cluster filters too. Spread on those. Now we can turn it back up. You know what else I can do on the mod wheel? I can also open it, use it to open the spread. Watch this. Well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. The I like that effect on the mod wheel because it makes it, if you want it kind of standard, you got it, and then start moving the mod wheel and things get a little wacky. We should do something with the aftertouch too, maybe. Let's see here. We want to close the filter just a little bit with Aftertouch. Maybe close it a little, but boost the resonance. This is kind of an interesting sound. Once again, kind of getting into some territory that I'm not sure I would have gotten into. I added a square wave oscillator here. Do we like that or not? I'm gonna add another filter or another peak too. Well, I think it adds a little more body to the sound, but it kind of, I feel like it masks those. Yeah, there's too much going on in the upper harmonics with this. You don't hear it as well. So we'll switch it to a sine wave. And we can probably boost it a little bit then too. So now we just have a little more presence without it really adding much to the sound. Yeah. I'm trying out some new things. This is a sound that I think would benefit from some delay. It's like a nice short delay on this. Get all wacky stereo. Yeah. Really high feedback. That's too short, actually. And maybe see if we can. This seems like one that would be good with the shimmer reverb. Extra body, sure. Send. Okay, do the same thing here. Map this to the send. reverb send. And if you don't like the reverb, it's easy to turn off. Delay, good. You know what? Maybe a little chorus on this. A subtle chorus. Hey, that's kind of nice. Save that. Let's see, we'll call that the shiny walker pad. Those harmonics walk around. I think that's how you described it there. Swarm. I thought that was a pretty good description, so I'm going to use that here. And it's pad, evolving pad. Yeah. It's bright. It's complex. Maybe even psychedelic. Works good with chord sounds. Arguably, it glitches a little. Experimental, IDM, I don't know, pop, shoegaze, who knows what you could use it in. Anything you like. Okay, so I have to knock off here to feed my family in about 10 minutes. So it seems like this would be a good time to... hey, Roderick, good timing, actually. Thanks for coming by, and thank you for hanging out, and thank you for the kind words. And you didn't miss anything because, like I said, I'm about to. We're just going to answer some questions here. So unless you had questions that you wanted answered, in which case you're going to miss that. But yeah, if there was any questions that anyone wanted answered, anything that I didn't go over, I could go over the new features again real quick. The vocoder is here. Here is the vocoder. There's a vocoder here in the effects section now that we're not going to mess with. Let's go back to... these cluster filters, new stuff on the classic filters, all pass filters added. They didn't add any more emulations, but you know, they already had a nice selection of filters. So yeah, new lo-fi filter, cluster filters. Oops, there's the manual. You guys can't see that actually. What else? Yeah. Quality of life improvements. Yeah, there's this voice modulator. Yeah, for sure. I will do another stream. I'll probably play with this offline a little bit over the rest of the week or whatever, and then later in the week or even this weekend, shoot for another stream where I maybe know a little bit more about what I'm doing with this, and I'm not just completely fumbling around blind. So that's something to look forward to, hopefully, rather than something to dread. I hope you're not dreading it. Hey, Be Kind. Nice to see you. Yeah, you are tuning in very late. And I apologize because I'm actually like literally minutes from cutting this stream off. You can You can route external stuff into it, is my understanding. So um, I think you can use it with your voice. That's one of those things I will dig into the manual a little bit and have an answer for you, a more definitive answer for you, and maybe even have it set up to demonstrate it next time I stream. But yeah, as I was saying, be kind. I am about to cut this off, but if you would like, you can watch the VOD as soon as this is over, and then you can catch the whole thing that you missed. Thank you for stopping by in any case, and hopefully maybe you'll stop by another time, um, and hang out a little bit before we're actually cutting loose. But yeah, my wife will be home from work any minute, and I'm going to start dinner right after that. And so this is a good point to wrap up. I could stay on a few more minutes if anyone has any more questions or anything, but I guess I can actually look up probably find answer to your question. Here's the vocoder. Okay. Robotic vocal textures. Oh, I see. That's just like, hey, what's new? Oh, I see. Vocoder. One signal modulator into another. The carrier. Vocal is the modulator and synthesizer is the carrier. Okay, so the carrier is the vocoder input signal. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So it looks like it's pretty simple actually. You just select audio in, and then you configure where your audio is coming in from uh, to use the your voice as a modulator. So I can try and get that set up. I'll experiment with it, see how difficult it is. If it ends up being a pain in the ass, then maybe I will. Next time I see you, I'll be like, "It was a pain in the ass. We're not doing it." But if not, I will set it up and do at least a demo of it. Um, even if it's a brief one. I also understand. Maybe we can real quick just look here. New preset that they put a buttload of new samples into this thing, which at a glance I would say yes, it does look like there's a bunch of new samples. So if you're into romplering, there's a bunch of new samples added too, and of course it is literal child's play to add your own samples to this. Uh, it's pretty easy to add your own wavetables as well. You just have to make the wavetables. Samples like any wave, .wav should work, I think. Yeah, quite a few samples to play with though. It'll be a while before you run out. I don't have a count on them or anything, but my first Rumpler back in the 90s had 256 samples, most of which were I think they were, a ton of them were just single cycle waves. And I bet this has something close to that. Mine did not have any field recordings, I'll say that. But yeah, so I mean, even if again, this is not a Rumpler, this is a Rampler, I guess. So certainly you can add your own samples to it. Easy peasy is my understanding. So I don't use a ton of sample-based instruments to this degree. Like usually, if I'm sampling something, it's just like a simple play the sample back. Ooh, excuse me. I'm not processing it a ton through through a synth engine after that or whatever. But it is cool to have that capability. And I mean, yeah, look at this now. It's got 5 engines now, and these 5 engines cover what's missing at this point. You got VA, wavetable. Obviously, it's a subtractive style synth architecture as a whole. You got wavetable oscillators. You got sample and granular both into the sample. Harmonic is your additive. Modal is your physical modeling. There's the weird syntheses. that are out there still, but this covers pretty much the mainstream of synthesis all in one program, and it's super easy to use, etc., etc. So continues to be a better value with every iteration. This was a free upgrade too, in case that's not clear. I have paid exactly $69 for this once in 2019, and I have continued to get updates for it since then. I think when I got this, it only had the analog and wavetable engines, I want to say. Um, and then they added, pretty much in the order they're in, the next they added sample engine in the third or fourth version. Harmonic, I guess, must have been in the fifth version, and now the modal in the sixth version. So go Pigments. And with that, I will go ahead and wrap this up, I think. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me this evening and checking out these new features. Keep an eye out on my social media, Blue Sky and or Mastodon. Um, I'll be announcing another one soon. You can follow me on YouTube and and hit the notification bell and get my notifications when I go live, if that's something you're interested in. Um, I appreciate the subscriptions too. I'm not actually likely. Uh, I'm not worried about monetizing my YouTube channel because the monetization features are such a joke. Like you have to be very popular. What I'm doing is fairly much a niche. I don't know that I could ever be that popular. There's like five synth creators that actually make any significant amount of money off of their streams alone. Um, but if you want to subscribe, it makes me feel good when I see number go up, and it will let you know when things are going on, so that's nice as well. Um, but yeah, I will go ahead and wrap this up. I'm just rambling at this point. There's no reason to stick around. Thank you again all for coming by. Thank you, Swarm, for continuing your, I think, unbroken streak of making all my streams. And thank you, Be Kind, Make Music, for coming by. And I think Roudic's already gone, but thank him as well. And I think there's one or two silent folks as well, and so thank you too. Um, yeah, it's the notifications. Like it's kind of a joke. It's probably a fallback is probably it's your best bet with it. It's if you didn't happen to see the Bluetooth, Blue Sky or Mastodon one, maybe you would then see the YouTube one. But I will continue no matter what to advertise them on both Blue Sky and Mastodon when I'm doing it, and so those are perfectly fine. You could always like on Mastodon, you can put me in your like see every post he makes list, and then you definitely won't miss any of my posts. Although I post a lot, so maybe that's a bad idea. But yeah, I mean, it's worked out so far. There's no reason to change anything. I'm just saying, I do appreciate the attention, and having someone to talk to makes this a lot more interesting. It holds my interest for longer and whatnot. So, okay, wife's going to be walking in the door any minute, so I'm going to say goodbye.